Hello again, playful writers. This is Leah, and I'm back with you for some more playful proofreading practice. And today I'm so excited because it's all about Easter eggs. And I have to kind of tell on myself a little bit here. I remember having this discussion with my husband a couple years ago, and we were talking about what an Easter egg actually was, like when you're talking about a movie or a TV show or whatever. And I thought it was something that was kind of heralding in something new. I think I was thinking of I think it's the Pixar movies that at the end they'll always give a little clue to the next Pixar movie. And so I think that's the one that I was thinking of. And he was talking about kind of like a nod back to something that had already happened. And so in preparation for our playful proofreading practice, I did a bunch of research on all things Easter eggs and come to find out, it's both. So I'm so excited that we are both right. How often does that happen in marriage, right? Or if it does, how often do we admit it? So as soon as this video is over, as what was it, Desi Arnaz would say, I've got some splaining to do, don't I? Well, my name's not Lucy, but we better get into our playful proofreading practice. So you should have your paper out in front of you, and we'll go through. Remember, we're looking for 12 errors, but it's okay if you don't find all those the first time through. It's just playing with language and seeing what you do find, and then talking about those other errors that maybe escaped from your eyes that first time through when you were looking for all 12. So let's get right into it. All right, so of course, like last time, I wanted to make sure to give you your clues as to how many errors are in each line. Okay, so let's go through and do that quickly. So that way, what I like to tell my students, like I said before, is that go through the first time without any clues and see what you can find, and then go back through with these clues, and that way you know maybe which lines you might have missed something on. So this first line here has 2. Then we have 1, 0, 2, 1, 2. And then, oh gosh, there's a good streak where nothing went wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 0, 1, 1. All right, so now I would pause the video again, go back through your proofreading practice and say on the first line, what if you only found 1? Well, now you can go back and see if you can find that second one. However, on the third line, if you thought you found 1, maybe go back because you didn't, right? So these clues should help you narrow down a little bit and maybe get closer to hitting that dirty dozen goal that we're aiming for, all 12 errors found, okay? And then come back after you pause the video and we'll do it together. Okay, so how did you do? You might not have found all 12, but oh, you know what? Oh my goodness, I'm just now seeing this for the first time. I should have had like a joke planned that we were talking about eggs, Easter eggs, and that we have a dozen, right? Oh my goodness, missed opportunities and whatnot. So pretend like I said something super funny. Haha. So here we go. Let's look at this first line. Is this, have you ever heard the term Easter egg when talking about a book, movie, or even a game? So not just in the first line, but I can go ahead and give you a bigger clue that both of those errors for the first line are in the first sentence. All right, so we're just training our eyes to start spotting some of these things. Hopefully you saw that heard was spelled incorrectly. That heard is like, it's not the proper term, but we always joke around about herding cats, right? So I remember the first time I heard our pastor say, whatever he was talking about in, Sunday school or something like that. He's like, that's like herding cats. I thought that was a fun term. So a herd of cows, maybe. But HEARD is the one that we need there. At the end of this sentence, since we were asking a question, we should have a question mark. So that's our first 2. Then it keeps on going. It says the phrase refers to unexpected messages hidden in media. So far, so good. The most common types of literary Easter eggs is interconnected universes, hidden messages and codes, tributes and references, and meta references. So, did you find this one? it's actually a problem with subject-verb agreement. So the most common types is plural, and then we have is right here, okay? So the most common, the most common types is. So what's crazy is you have of literary Easter eggs. That's a 4-word prepositional phrase separating that subject of the sentence from the verb that needs to agree with it in number, right? So types is, we would never say that, but all those 4 words in between maybe help us forget what the subject actually was. So what should that be? Types are. All right. Types are interconnected universes, hidden messages and codes, tributes and references, and meta references. All right. Then we go on to our second paragraph and we have all different kinds of examples of these. So it says, for example, Stephen King often references locations or characters from his other novels to create an interconnected universe. It's hard to say them incorrectly, isn't it? So did you notice it might be hard to see with this type font, but that K should be a capital K. Officially, that is a lowercase k. So if you didn't see that, we'll blame it on the font choice there, right? Because you maybe were wondering, is that a capital K or not? And the one that I messed up because I said it correctly for you is this should be an interconnected universe, right? An interconnected universe. Now here's what's cool. If you are a grammar nerd or if these exercises are kind of turning you into one, unleashing that power inside of you, what's cool about the rule for a and an is a lot of times as kids, in elementary school, we memorize it as and comes before a vowel. But it's not always a vowel, it's a vowel sound that we're concerned with. So think about this word, university, right? Well, U is a vowel. It's not even that sneaky Y that sometimes is a vowel. This is legit A-E-I-O-U, one of our 5 vowels. But when we pronounce this word, what do you have at the beginning? University. I'm just going to ... the rest of that, right? So the sound that you have at the beginning is a Y sound and that consonant Y sound, right? So when we're talking about putting an indefinite article in front of university, we don't say an university, we say a university. Isn't that cool? So that's a fun little grammar nerd moment for you. But interconnected, we don't have any sneaky things going on there. It just needs to be an in front of that. So an interconnected universe. Our next example says, in Through the Looking Glass, Lewis Carroll made sure that the first letter in each line of a poem spelled out Alice Pleasance Liddell. So did you see it? It's so hard to read these incorrectly, isn't it? So if you didn't catch it before, it's hard to read those and find them. That's why, reading with your eyes, that's why reading them out loud sometimes will help. So that even helps when you're doing your own edits. If you're writing something, to go through and read it out loud, it'll help you catch some of those things that you might not have caught just reading with your eyes. So that was the one in that line. And then in our next sentence, we have, in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Professor Slughorn. I have to tell you, I looked up examples for some of these. I'm not a big Stephen King fan. Mad props to the fact that he wrote a bajillion books, like, already. And I haven't seen or read the Harry Potter things, so if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, please forgive me, diehard Harry Potter fans. But I think it's I can't even say the word I do know. Professor Slughorn calls Ron by the name Rupert, a nod to the actor Rupert Grint, who plays Ron in the films. So this one might be a little sneaky for you, but we have this extra noun phrase here that we want to set apart with a comma. And remember, that's our little insert sign. Sorry, my computer isn't liking me trying to write super tiny here, so I keep redoing it and redoing it. Let's pretend that is a comma. So our sentence could have ended with Rupert, but we're giving you extra information, that noun clause that kind of comes in and interrupts. It's non-essential, and that's our kind of mark for when do we need to use a comma and when do we not. So we could have ended at Rupert. This is not essential to the information in that sentence. We still have a grammatically correct sentence if we had stopped at Rupert and put a period there. However, we wanted to give you extra information, and even though it feels essential, because if you don't know who that person is, then Rupert telling you that Rupert was an Easter egg doesn't do much good, does it? So, like for me, if I haven't seen those movies, telling me, oh, he called Ron Rupert, ha ha ha, that's an inside joke that I don't get. So, we'll put a comma there and add that non-essential noun clause and nod to the attention, or sorry, a nod to the actor Rupert Grint who plays Ron in the films, and that will make it flow grammatically even more concise, well, not necessarily concisely, but it will just make it flow better and easier for the reader to read. So let's keep going. Tolkien even incorporated subtle clues in his text and maps for those paying close attention to all things Middle Earth. So this is where we're hitting our streak, where we had 4 lines with nothing wrong. So nothing wrong there. So why do authors incorporate Easter eggs in their writing? Well-placed Easter eggs can reward loyal readers and add depth. So I think this is really interesting, not from a proofreading practice standpoint, but something, if you're a writer thinking about incorporating these, one of my favorite examples is if you are, I know I told you I'm not a big like Stephen King, Harry Potter fan, but I'm going to date myself because one of my favorite TV shows is Home Improvement. My husband and I love to watch Home Improvement with Tim Allen and everything. And so he did Home Improvement. And then I think the next one, Last Man Standing. I always get the names of these confused. And so, if you remember Home Improvement, he was married and had 3 boys. And then if you fast forward to the sitcom Last Man Standing, he was married and had 3 girls. So he would have people from Home Improvement, like the wife, Jill, or his coworker slash friend Al Borland. Those actors would come in and do a cameo on Last Man Standing, and they would have these sort of Easter eggs that were so funny because if you grew up watching Home Improvement, you get to Last Man Standing and a cameo, and Tim Allen's character on there will say something about, here's my 3 girls, and then they'll say, oh, I thought it was 3 boys, haha. So if you were a Home Improvement fan, that's a funny moment, and it does feel like an inside joke between you and this actor on the screen because you know what he's referencing, right? Another one that came from the Home Improvement show, Tim Allen also voiced, and I haven't seen this movie, so I hope I get this right, Buzz Lightyear, I think, in Toy Story. So there's a scene at the end of one of the episodes where he's playing with his nieces, I think, and he's sitting in the floor playing with Buzz Lightyear. And I guess it was one of those toys that would talk. So maybe he pressed a button and it had, of course, Tim Allen's voice saying, I am Buzz Lightyear. And then Tim Allen's character, Tim Taylor on the show, looks at the toy and he's like, no, I am Buzz Lightyear, because he was playing with his niece pretending, to be that character. But of course, it's the same voice because he voiced that character in Toy Story. So those are just my favorite examples of Easter eggs from shows I actually watch. So sorry if that makes me a little bit more boring, but those are my favorites. So let's keep going. It says they can feel like fun inside jokes, deepening the author-reader connection and enhancing the world building. Some authors even name characters after their own friends or raffle off the opportunity to include a reader's name in an upcoming book. See how hard it is to read it incorrectly. Well, hopefully you found this sneaky little, I can't write with this pen today. Spelling error. Okay, so opportunity should have 2 P's for opportunity. That may be one of your words that you always spell incorrectly. I love that we're at a place where people will just like post on social media, I don't care how much I learn, I'm always going to spell this word incorrectly. And so opportunity may be that word for you and you passed right over it. My word is always restaurant, and I know there's an AU somewhere, but I always want to put it in the wrong place. So I have to actually say it in Spanish in my head to spell it it correctly because the pronunciation in Spanish really gets that AU sound even better than it does in English. So restaurant in Spanish, restaurante. So I hear that ow, restaurante. So if I can spell it in Spanish and just leave that E off at the end, that's my life hack for spelling restaurant because evidently I'm incapable of doing it in English. So that's your fun fact today for me. So we also had reader's name, and that was one that I had trouble not saying. Um, oh goodness, it does not like me trying to write in these little tiny marks. So it should be an apostrophe there or comma to the top. We've been calling it that, haven't we? So a reader's name, so possessive there, in an upcoming book. Thriller author Lisa Gardner even runs a Kill a Friend, Maim a Buddy sweepstakes, allowing readers to nominate a friend or family member to meet an untimely end in an upcoming novel. It's amazing how authors use this excellent literary device. See what I did there? I'll see myself out. To connect with their readers all year, not just at Easter. So, did you hear that one? Kind of said it a little differently there. Their readers, remember, there. I've even seen a t-shirt that says, "How do you comfort an English teacher?" And it has there, but written, Their, There, and then They apostrophe Re. So that is your dirty dozen. We found all 12. If you found more than that, then it may be some things that are, questionable. Maybe you could do it that way, maybe not. But these are the 12 you should have corrected for sure. All right, and that is it for Easter eggs, playful writers. I hope you learned something new. Like I said, I was excited to learn something new in my research for this and find out that both I and my husband were correct. So I'm going to have to go have that conversation. Yay, me. But hopefully you learned even more about Easter eggs, got some fun examples, and hopefully got some ideas for your own writing for how maybe you could incorporate Easter eggs into your writing. So I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Other than that, that's it for now.